Hi everybody, this is Professor Johnson. This is our third and final video on quality VOC and CTQs. So you'll recall that when we were last together in video number 2 that we were examining this gap model of quality and talking about how do we reduce or eliminate these quality gaps, primarily between customers' expected quality and our interpretation of that quality, and then translating our interpretation into specifications. If we get this wrong, then we really have very little hope of delivering a good or service that meets customer expectations. So this is critical to starting our journey of producing those goods and services in a way that will meet customer expectations. Really what we're talking about here is translating voice of the customer into specific specifications, right? So voice of the customer, we've gathered the customer requirements in their own words, and now we want to translate that into specifications that we can use to know and understand that we are meeting customer needs. So we can do that using something called critical to quality, or a CTQ tree. So critical to quality means the product or service characteristics that the customer considers to have the most impact on quality. And we'll use a method called the CTQ tree to get to understanding what those things are. This is the basic format for a CTQ tree. First we have the customer needs. Then we'll break that down a little bit further into a next level of what we call drivers. And then we'll identify those requirements or specifications right here. At this third level, these requirements or specifications are measurable. They are quantifiable. They're things that we can actually measure, and that will indicate to us that if we're measuring and performing on all of these, that they're meeting these drivers, and finally it's meeting this customer need. So let's go to an example to see how this might work. So in this example, the need that's been identified is good customer service. So that's a need we hear a lot, right, when we're talking about service delivery. Customers want good customer service. Well, what that customer service can look like can be the definition of good customer service can be very different for customers in different environments. So we have to try to understand, what does that mean for our customers? So in this case, good customer service, the drivers of that are how long somebody has to wait, or waiting time, that the staff are pleasant, and that there's a good refund policy, right? So customer waiting time, pleasant staff, and a refund policy translate for this set of customers into good customer service. That's what they mean when they're talking about good customer service. So these are all useful, but we need to figure out a way to measure them. And that's where our third level comes in. So performance requirement or specifications. You can see that in terms of waiting time, there are 3 measures associated with that. One of them is 90% of customers satisfied with their waiting time. A second is that all phone calls are answered within 20 seconds. And a third is that 90% of purchases and refunds are processed within 2 minutes. If we're meeting all of those performance requirements or specifications, then we're meeting customer expectations in terms of waiting time. But we've not yet achieved good customer service. To do that, we need to actually have a pleasant staff and also have a refund policy that meets their needs. So let's look at the performance requirements for pleasant staff. Pleasant staff means all customers are greeted within 30 seconds of entering the store, and all customer-facing staff smile genuinely when interacting with customers. Those 2 specifications or performance requirements that are measurable translate into pleasant staff. Finally, looking at the quality driver refund policy, we only have 1 performance requirement or specification associated with that, and that one is 80% of customers are satisfied with the refund policy. We could probably dig deeper on this one if we wanted to. All of these performance requirements comprise our specifications for designing our service delivery. These are the quality drivers that are driving what the customers define as good customer service. If we're meeting these measures, then we are delivering good customer service. A well-developed CTQ tree can help eliminate gaps 1 and 2, and this is a really useful tool for helping to do that. This is often done best in a focus group type setting, at least for an initial round, getting several different focus groups of customers together to define what good customer service is, and then working with them on developing performance requirements and specific specifications that we can then use to design into our service delivery. The same type of analysis, CTQ tree, can be used with goods, designing goods as well. The important thing is to make sure that with our customers that they agree that these performance requirements, these specifications, do indeed reflect the need that they've identified here. So for your case studies, what you're going to be looking at is trying to identify how does your case company collect VOC, and how do they translate that into delivering quality goods and services to their customers. This critical to quality tree might be one way that they do that. And if they don't have a formal way of doing that, you might suggest how they could do that or discuss how they could do that using a CTQ tree. Hopefully this is helpful. As always, do contact me with any questions.